And we're live.
All right, we've got a fully packed episode for today. I am your host, Sovereign.
And I'm Shiny, and this is Worldwide Wednesdays.
All right, well, we definitely have a lot to talk about today.
Oh, definitely. Want to tell the folks what our first topic's gonna be?
Yes, our first topic will be talking about Chapter 77 of the Dragon Ball Super manga. But before we begin, I would like to ask everyone to take a quick moment of silence as the voice actor for Frieza recently passed away this week, Chris Ayres.
So we'd like to give a moment of silence in his honor. Yes, it's a very tragic passing. He's been sick for a very long time, and he was hospitalized several times. And there were times where things were looking better, but ultimately he did pass on, and
Yeah.
it is incredibly sad to hear, as
I'm
he was a phenomenal voice actor.
Yeah, how long has he had the role for? Ever since like Dragon Ball Z Kai aired, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been practically the only voice of Frieza I've ever known.
Yeah. Of course, there was I forget her name, but she was pretty big when the original Z dub aired. But whenever I think Frieza, you do think Chris Ayres.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But moving on, we do want to talk about the newest chapter as it was a pretty significant one and one that has a lot of stuff for Dragon Ball fans to love, but might be contentious for a few people.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so let's talk about that.
All right,
So,
so with chapter 77 titled Bardock, the father of Goku. Now, of course, references are easy to spot out with this one. Obviously, referencing Bardock, the father of Goku special that was made exclusively for the anime. So, pretty easy reference there.
yeah, in a blink and you'll miss it moment, we actually see Cranbo, who, for those who don't remember, was the second in command of Doria's crew when they slaughtered Bardock's team on Planet Meat. So
but
he's
but
canon now.
but at the same time, who remembers Cranbo?
I remember Cranbo.
Oh, good for you.
The Discord server I'm in remembered Cranbo.
Fair enough.
But so yeah, which once again is just another reference to the fact that this chapter is called Bardock, the father of Goku.
Yeah. So this one's pretty much a flashback episode touching on who Bardock was, and it touches on the first invasion of Planet Cereal of the Saiyans and under control of Frieza.
Yeah. I really liked how they showed this invasion because I think this is the first time we've actually seen Frieza's forces and the Saiyan army working together on an invasion.
Right, because in the original special, it was just an overview of the Saiyans themselves attacking.
Yeah. And so I really like it, especially because they also showed how they segmented them off into teams. The Frieza soldiers attacked the Namekian village, while the Saiyans went to the Cerealian village to show that which one was the stronger ones. The Great Apes had to take on the clearly warrior Cerealians, while the Grunts could take on the mainly farmer Namekians.
Yeah, just for example, like the I forget the name slips by me, but the main Namekian that
Monito.
okay, his power level is only recorded to be like 213, which, of course, by the Cell Saga, power levels started to be in the
I
billions.
mean, even by Saiyan Saga standards, that's pretty weak. That's about as strong as Krillin was right before the 23rd Tenkaichi.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. The one that wasn't like at the beginning of the Saiyan Saga wasn't Roshi like in the hundreds or something, just barely
Yeah, he
making
was
it.
at like 100 and something in his like regular form.
Yeah,
So, yeah, but one thing I did like seeing was we did get to see the story of how Leek got his scar. And for any of you who remember who Leek is, he's that one Saiyan that's with Bardock during Dragon Ball Minus and in Dragon Ball Super Broly. He has a scar on his forehead, and everyone was dying to know just how did Leek get his scar. and well, now we know. A Cerulean named Flake, like cornflakes, blew up the moon, and in the process, blasted Leak straight in the face.
The sarcasm in your voice, I can't find it at all.
I mean, I do think it's a neat touch that they do explain
Yeah.
that, just because I mean, hey, it's a thing that could be
I mean, with how
explained.
old the franchise is, introducing new things like that is pretty standard at this point.
Yeah.
But
Um.
to touch on the major plot points, I do want to touch on Bardock's character and how he's changed
Yeah.
from Bardock, the father of Goku special, to the chapter that came out today.
Yeah. Go on.
So, of course, people will probably be like, of course, with Dragon Ball Minus and with the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie, with him being introduced and those being canonized, people, of course, got a little more upset because they put him as more of a family man figure, and it's a little more exemplified here.
Yeah. Um. So my whole thing about Bardock in like the new age Dragon Ball stuff versus Bardock in the old Dragon Ball stuff is really Bardock is always special. Like some people argue that Bardock is being made more special. Bardock literally got the power to see in the future. Not only that, his team was specifically targeted by Dodoria on orders of Frieza because they were that good. On top of the fact that Bardock was nearing King Vegeta level in terms of power, Bardock, and he was the lone Saiyan that led a rebellion that was so prominent that Frieza remembers it to the day on his battle with Namek. Bardock has always been special, and that's really just by virtue of being the father of Goku that he's given this special status.
Though the contention that I see happening is people arguing that like no, he's not a he's not compassionate, he's not a family man, he is this ruthless warrior who has no compassion whatsoever. And that did pop up like with the release of Dragon Ball Minus and with the Super movie. But do you see that happening here at all?
So here's my problem with that is one, Bardock, both in the special and in Minus, show compassion. It's just towards different people. Bardock shows compassion to his team throughout Dragon Ball, throughout on Bardock, the father of Goku. Like his team and the death of his team is what literally single mindedly drives him to try and save his race. If his team doesn't die, I don't know how much Bardock really does care.
Yeah.
And also, when it comes to Dragon Ball Minus, Bardock is still a ruthless Saiyan. We open on the final chapter of Jocko the Galactic Patrolman, which introduces Dragon Ball Minus. It opens on Bardock and Leek murdering people on a planet and not showing any hesitancy or really any type of, like, pause in doing so. So, Bardock is just as ruthless. I mean, even in this chapter, Bardock is actively participating in a genocide.
Right.
He had no qualms with killing. The only reason he even stops to even save, not save, more like spare Musoli and Granola is because it reminds him of his family. And even then, he doesn't even understand why he feels that compassion. He even says, "What the hell am I even doing?" Which, funnily enough, Monito is like, "I don't know. What are you doing? We gotta get out of here."
Yeah. Which one thing I do want to think about is with the fact that the last chapter was the wrap up of a pretty big fight between Goku, Vegeta, and Granola,
Mhm.
is that what were they trying to show with this chapter? Because all in all, they were trying to show like who Bardock was, and now we see Goku finally acknowledging who his father potentially might be, with Vegeta bringing him up, and what was the pronunciation again? Monito?
Yeah,
Yeah, with Monito acknowledging that, oh, it was Bardock who saved Granola and him.
yeah,
So we finally see, after like 30 years of him finally acknowledging his father.
yeah. I think the biggest point as to why this is being brought up now is, for one, for Granola to finally turn against the Heaters, as we've always known that Granola versus the Heaters was bound to happen, but this allows him to fully turn that way into turning against them because they killed his mother. And it also serves to tie up a plot point that was briefly mentioned at the beginning of the arc that some people may have forgotten. But Gas has trauma with Planet Cereal. And as we learn, it's most likely due to him losing in a fight against Bardock. As the chapter does end in the flashback with Bardock and Gas about to fight.
Yeah. Or not even losing to a fight, but managing to escape at all.
Yeah, well, we don't know how the fight goes, but we can presume he lost at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
Considering, well, Bardock is alive and Gas is alive, but, Gas is the one scarred.
Right, right. Yeah, overall, do you think that they'll build up on this at all as far as like, because yeah, making Goku acknowledge, oh, he might have a father named Bardock. Will that go anywhere else? Because, I mean, yeah, it's a neat thing, like, oh, Goku finally gets to learn the name of his father, but what else is there to that?
To me, I feel it's kind of along the lines of the revelation that Goku had that he killed Grandpa Gohan, in the sense that he finally understands that that was something that happened, but he's not going to dwell on it too much. I mean, he barely dwelled on the fact that he killed Grandpa Gohan when it was revealed to him in the Saiyan saga. Now, mind you, I understand, fight for his life, Vegeta's trying to kill him, but even after the fight, he does not acknowledge ever again that he killed Grandpa Gohan.
Yeah,
So I think it's another situation like that, where it's more about tying up the past, letting Goku know things about the past, and Goku just being like, huh, so that did happen. Moving
yeah.
on.
And also the weird revelation that Vegeta knew the whole time about his father. I mean, mind you, Goku never really cared about
Yeah.
who his father was, but
I,
I guess now that I say it out loud, like Vegeta knowing the name of Goku's father isn't really that big of a deal as
I
far
mean,
as
he worked with Raditz for decades.
that is true.
And
That,
also, in Dragon Ball Super Broly, Bardock even comments about Raditz working with Vegeta, implying that he knows about Vegeta's personality, potentially meaning they've already met.
hmm,
Because he does comment on the fact that Raditz and Vegeta are on a mission together.
that is fair. That is fair.
So I don't really think it's that important that Vegeta and Bardock know each other. It's more along the lines of,
Or
I
know
mean,
of each other.
yeah, it's kind of like, well, yeah, they were in the same army together, and not many Saiyans.
Yeah.
And I mean, Bardock is the captain of. Bardock is a captain. He's a captain of his own squad. I mean, Leek and Taro refer to him as their superior.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, for people saying that the Saiyan that killed Flake was young Nappa, I'm sorry to burst your bubble. You're wrong. That is a Saiyan named Taro who was introduced back in Dragon Ball Minus. He's the Saiyan that informs Bardock that Frieza is asking about the Super Saiyan legend. Sorry to burst your bubble, but Nappa did not appear in this
Yeah.
chapter.
All in all, this chapter really didn't touch on the main plot all that much, just giving us brief backstories to each of the characters that are relevant to the plot.
Yeah. I mean, it's more of a setup chapter because the end of the chapter ends with Maki, Alec, and Oil, not Oil, Maki, Alec, and Gas trying to rendezvous with Oil to get the second Dragon Ball.
Right, right.
Also, quickly, do you think Frieza will still appear? Because I feel like Granola's rage still should be directed towards Frieza because he ultimately authorized the attack. But I wonder if he's going to fully shift towards the heaters as Frieza would not have attacked if Alec doesn't commission Frieza to attack. Because this is all just one giant scheme by Alec to make money off of the Shigarians. Because the Shigarians don't have a home. He finds them a home. He calls Frieza. Frieza eliminates the inhabitants. He sells the home to Shigarians. He shorts Frieza of profits, and he comes out with a lump sum of money.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Granola will target Alec more than Frieza, now knowing that Alec is the one that orchestrates the whole thing. Without Alec and the heaters, Frieza never bothers with Cereal. Because Manito even says there weren't many Cerealians and Namekians on the planet to begin with.
Well, all in all, I think that it all just depends on what uh, track Goku and Vegeta chase. Because at this point, I mean, they've got no reason to chase Frieza right now.
Yeah, I feel like they're more likely to go after the heaters, especially with Gas, being set up to be the final boss.
And especially with them collecting the Dragon Balls right now.
Yeah. Also, who's who's in the ship with Maki?
Uh,
It's not Oil. Like Alec and Gas are up top, but there's like two other people in the ship with her, and I don't think we've ever saw. I thought Maki and Oil were the ones piloting the ship.
that that part of the that info probably uh, flew right past me.
Yeah, I noticed the fact that there was someone next to her. I was like, wait, there's another person there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Overall, I would give the chapter a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I did enjoy the backstories that they give.
Yeah.
And it was a good, like, relaxer chapter after, like, 3 chapters of fights between Goku and Vegeta and Granola.
Yeah. Um, the controversy about Bardock, in my opinion, is way overblown. Bardock is still objectively a terrible person. He's still definitely in Dragon Ball's equivalent of hell. And the only thing that's special about him is that he cares. Which Toriyama even said Bardock is special in his ability to critical think.
Oh, that says a lot in and of itself.
Yeah. And I mean, really, all Saiyans that are of note in the show are Saiyans that can critical think. So it's not even that surprising.
Uh, I can easily make a joke about Goku right there, and you know
Listen,
it.
Goku is a socially stunted person, but he can still think critically.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yes. Anyways, moving on to our next topic, that will be.
Let's go ahead and talk about the release of Sora. Now, we discussed our thoughts about what we thought of him as the final character, but now he's finally come out this week, and, well, honestly, to begin with, I did not like how he played, and then I gave it 2 days to settle, and I actually think that I like him a little bit more.
Yeah, I think he's. I described him to Sovereign earlier when we were playing against each other. I think Sora's kind of like Jigglypuff with a sword. Just extremely floaty, like can just, excuse me, bounce all across the screen with basically unparalleled air control. And the sword just exemplifies that air control.
Oh god, and that side special is so annoying.
Oh yeah, the side special. The side special coupled with the up B gives Sora so much air control and aerial mobility. It is
I
insane.
mean, he can literally recover from the bottom of the stage.
Yeah,
The bottom corner of the stage.
I know there were several times you downbeat against me and you missed, but you were able to just up B and side B, and not only did you get back to stage, you landed on stage and still hit me, despite being below the stage and me being close to the middle of the side platform on Battlefield. That's how insane he is.
Yeah, overall, I do like how he plays, though his floatiness is a bit of a turn off for me.
Yeah,
Because, like, when you switch back to normal characters, it's really evident how different he plays.
yeah, and different in the sense that like I imagine if you were like even if you were a Kirby main, it would still be different. I think the only character that can really compare is Jigglypuff.
And maybe Mewtwo.
Oh, and Mewtwo definitely, because Mewtwo also has a lot of good air control.
Yeah, overall, yeah, I, this is great inclusion, same as we said 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I really like him. His costumes are great. They're very good to see. Hollow Bastion as a stage is good, and it's most likely going to be legal and competitive.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, people are now positing the potential, the potential for a Hazards On rule set because Hollow Bastion now gives enough stages for a Hazard On rule set.
Right, right. Yeah, it could be interesting, but I guess it's not all too different from Smashville.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really. The only difference is that on Hazards On, Smashville would have a moving platform, while Hollow Bastion is just stationary.
Yeah, overall, um, very fun character. But I'd also like to get into the patch notes that we had
Yeah.
for.
So, for one, the puff has been buffed. Sakurai has blessed the balloon with power. She is no longer bottom tier. She is now low tier.
Was Jigglypuff ever really bottom tier? Because when I think bottom tier, I think Ganon and Dr. Mario and Little Mac, and that's pretty much it.
Me Sword Fighter?
Okay, Meat Sword Fighter still has some relevant use.
Me Sword Fighter's garbage.
Okay, garbage, but not bottom tier.
Yes, bottom tier.
No.
Me Sword Fighter is objectively worse than Me Brawler and Me Gunner.
No, Me Sword Fighter is definitely a better zoner than Me Gunner.
It's not about being a better zoner. He's just a worse character. Yeah, I mean, what is it? Dr. Mario's probably better at close quarter combat than what? The Belmonts? That doesn't mean Dr. Mario's better than the Belmonts.
Well, their playstyle is still the same.
Not really, though. Like, the Me Gunner plays more like a Samus than Me Sword Fighter. Me Sword Fighter plays more like a... Well, depending on your move set, really.
You can just load up on all the projectiles. Honestly, all their projectiles are amazing.
Yeah.
Or amazing for what tier the character is.
Either way, in my opinion, Me Sword Fighter, garbage. But Jigglypuff is no longer garbage.
Yes, the fact that it has a better back here is a lot better for sure.
Yeah. Little Mac also got buffed. Still garbage, but buffed.
Yeah, he finally has a kill confirm.
I mean,
That's gonna help him.
Yeah, I mean, doesn't really matter when the newest character in the game literally will just literally float above you endlessly.
Literally, like I said 2 weeks ago, Sora is a reverse Little Mac.
Pretty much.
But, decent.
Yeah. Incineroar also got buffed, which is always good to see because Incineroar's fun. And in my opinion, has the most personality out of all the Smash characters added.
Yeah. Overall,
I think Rosaluma and Lucario were also buffed.
yeah. But how do you think people are going to react to not seeing any top tiers nerfed?
Oh, I think people are going to be upset.
Oh, yeah. People are expecting Aegis to get nerfed. People are expecting Pikachu to get nerfed.
Yeah. Rob. So many people wanted Rob to get nerfed.
Yeah, I mean, Rob isn't overpowered, but he is definitely the best heavyweight.
People don't like how he can box you out. Because his frame data when it comes to boxing you out is I mean, Rob is top tier.
Yeah.
So his ability to box you out, though, is like ridiculous, and people don't like that. And I mean, Sakurai did say this is probably the last update, so I think this is the final, like, set in stone metagame we're gonna have for the rest of Ultimate's lifespan.
Yeah, probably. Because in Smash 4, we did get one patch after Bayonetta release.
Two patches.
Two patches. We did get two patches afterwards, but that's because the character was so ungodly broken that they had to do something and step in.
Which arguably made things worse.
It really did.
But I'm actually really interested to see how the meta will finally develop, as the meta kind of stunted, obviously, due to the pandemic. So basically, from Terry onwards, the meta stopped in terms of real offline development. So now that we are finally caught up with all the DLC characters and all the patches, and offline tournaments are becoming more of a thing, the meta will finally be able to advance, and we'll truly see who's broken, who's not broken. I would love to see what the metagame will look like in a year from now, assuming there's no patches, because I think a lot of characters are going to go up and a lot of characters will go down for sure.
Probably.
Like, I could definitely see someone like Pyra going down eventually in the future as more people figure her out. But say a character, and even a character like Sora, I could see potentially dropping off eventually. Meanwhile, characters like Pikachu and Byleth and Rob and Joker and Palutena and Wolf will probably still be up top.
Yeah, definitely.
What do you think about the idea that this is still probably the most balanced Super Smash Bros. Game?
Yeah. I mean, really, you got your bottom tiers, but you can still win a game with them. It's not like Brawl where Ganondorf was
Or Melee.
near unplayable.
Yeah, God, Brawl Ganondorf was such a terrible character, but honestly, Who is the worst character? Brawl Ganondorf or Melee Roy?
Oh god, his dash attack doesn't even function properly, right?
Yeah.
The only gimmick he has is reverse up B on Jigglypuff, which kills at 0.
Yeah.
That's the only thing he's got going for
Yeah. But then there's Brawl Ganondorf where he's still negative on hit.
him.
Dear God.
Yeah.
But overall, I like the roster as it is. There's some characters I wish we got, but I don't think there's any character I would take away. I think
Yeah.
all the characters on the roster make sense and fit, and I wouldn't want to see them gone.
I am just glad that the character roster looks balanced again aesthetically. Because
Yeah,
we've been living since. Who was the last one to come out? Was it?
Kazuya.
It was Kazuya. That character roster looks so unbalanced with him added. And now we finally have a balanced roster again, as
I'll,
far as looks are concerned.
I'll have to get used to the fact that Min Min is now at the very end,
Ah,
which it kind of bothers me because I really liked Byleth at the end because Byleth was like, the end of DLC Wave 1, but now Min Min's there and it's like, oh, right, you're there.
yeah,
But overall, I liked it.
yeah,
I like Sora. I would love to see where the meta progresses. Since this looks like this will be the end of balance changes.
right. Yeah,
So
that was a pretty good finisher for the entire series as far as patches and DLC is concerned.
yeah,
To think that we went all the way from Piranha Plant all the way to Sora.
I know. God, I remember when they announced Piranha Plant.
Oh, I was laughing endlessly when that happened.
Oh, I was already on a victory high because I was one of the only people that didn't think the Grinch leak was real and that Incineroar had to be in Smash Brothers. I was like, he has to be in it. He has to be. There's just no other way. The math doesn't make sense if Incineroar's not in the game.
Oh god, I remember everyone believed that.
But okay, in their defense, it was pretty believable with all the evidence that was given at the time.
That is fair. It was a really well thought out and thorough leak.
Yeah, and we did eventually get Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah.
Yeah, who was in that league overall? It was Shadow, Ken, Banjo, Chorus Kids, Mock Rider, and who else? Gino.
Oh yeah.
Right,
Uh, can,
that's who it was. Gino. Yeah, no.
yeah. Can we just talk about how we're glad Gino is not in the game?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I never was a Gino fan. I mean, Gino has not been relevant since Superstar Saga for the Nintendo Game Boy, which even then, he wasn't even that relevant in Superstar Saga. He just kind of appeared in the background. So, and also, he's owned by Squeenix. And let's be honest here. Does Nintendo want to fight Squeenix for Gino or for Sephiroth and Sora?
Yeah, we're lucky to have 3 Square Enix characters to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, I was all doom and gloom about Sora because I thought Disney was way too stingy, but I was wrong.
Yep.
And I'm gonna be honest, I would prefer Sephiroth and Sora as our Square Enix reps over Gino, who would also count as another Mario rep, which, I mean, I think Piranha Plant, in my opinion, is a better rep for Mario than Gino, just because of how absurd it is.
Yes, definitely.
But, overall, patch 13.0 and Sora, I think it was good.
Yeah. Yep. Very happy with how it all ended.
And so now to transition from something we like about Nintendo to something we don't like, Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass and its price. Take it away, Sovereign.
So, originally we were all complaining about having to pay for online, considering that with the beginning of the Switch launch and with the Wii U, we never had to pay for online. And so they stick a $20 price tag on the online services a year into the Switch's lifespan, which we all complained about, but they tacked on NES and eventually SNES games, and it was worth the price. But
I
with
do want to say though about the pricing, it did make sense over time just because that is industry standard.
I mean,
Nintendo was the one not doing industry standard, and they were leaving a lot of money on the table, and so it does make sense that they would
I,
eventually start charging.
yeah, I'm not going to defend the effects of capitalism on this.
I mean, fair.
But then this week happened, and we finally learned the price of the expansion pack. And boy, does everyone hate it. I mean, Nintendo got ratioed on their reveal trailer for it.
And what is the price actually?
Oh, it is $49.99 for single players and $79.99 for the family pack.
$79.99?
Yes,
$80?
yes.
Oh
And
my
all
god!
for what? We get
It's $80 a year.
$80 a year.
Who are they expecting to pay for that? Billionaire children?
And what do we get for it? We get Sega Genesis games, which no one was asking for, and
Hey, wait.
they were already selling Sega Genesis games on the eShop already.
I was gonna say people did want Sega Genesis games.
Well,
They didn't want it for this price though.
but we already have it. Is the problem? They're already selling it on the eShop,
Oh yeah.
and we also have N64 games, which another way to piss people off about Super Mario All Stars 3D.
I mean, we all saw that coming. The moment they said All Stars 3D was limited time only, we knew they were reselling this in the future, which is why I'm glad I bought it.
And for the final product that we're getting with this, we are getting an exclusive access to Animal Crossing New Horizons DLC, and that's it.
Wait, the DLC is locked behind.
You can buy the pass to forego purchasing it, but as soon as you let your subscription expire, you no longer have access to it.
What?
Yes.
Oh, dear God, please don't do this for other DLC. If Pokemon Legends Arceus and Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl have DLC, do not lock it behind this ridiculous subscription service, please.
Honestly, well, not even locking, but putting DLC behind this subscription is I don't understand it at all.
I don't even think Sony and Microsoft do that.
No,
And they are pretty scummy as it is.
I mean, I think Xbox just has Xbox Game Pass, which they just give out games all the time.
Yeah. I mean, they do have a good library, so might as well.
Yeah, that's really the only equivalent we have, but they put good games behind this service. And
But
with
they don't hide DLC behind the service, right? At
not that
least
I'm
at
not
least
to
to
my
my
knowledge,
knowledge, yeah.
but the fact that we have DLC locked, and mind you, the online is still not good.
Yeah.
Like the input delay on certain games is beyond awful.
There's a reason why the meta didn't develop in Smash Ultimate for nearly a year.
Yeah, so overall, the online did not get better throughout the lifespan of the original pricing, and now they're expecting people to shell $30 more for N64 and Sega Genesis games and a DLC game, or DLC to a game that only probably a third of its player base plays.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to play N64 games, there's yo ho, a pirate's life to be.
Or the Wii U.
I mean, a lot of people sold their Wii U's.
Yeah, I mean,
You might as well just sail the seven seas than go back to your Wii U. I keep mine because I'm too lazy to sell it.
honestly, the only reason to keep it is because the Virtual Console still exists on that. Which, by the way, bring the Virtual Console to the Switch already.
Be careful what you wish for. Considering what they just pulled, you think that the Virtual Console will just tack it all the way up to 100.
Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Nintendo.
We love your games, but you guys make the stupidest business decisions.
No, not stupid. greediest. People are so greedy.
But do you think people will even buy this? Because
Yes.
no,
Yes.
no hesitation to that. Just yes.
Has anything Nintendo done as in terms of pricing ever failed?
Fair. I mean, their games are still marked up like crazy.
Like, let's be honest here. The rage is happening now, but at the end of the day, people are still going to pay for it.
Do you think people will still pay for it for the expansion pass? I mean, people will probably stay with their first level service with just the regular Nintendo Switch Online. But do you think people will actually go the extra step to access that for an extra $30 a year?
Some people will.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
feel like most people, to be perfectly honest with you, I feel like a lot of people that use online don't really care about the old games. But for those who do, they will pay.
yeah, but that's
Because there is something to playing an old Nintendo game on an official Nintendo console. There's just something about that I know fans really love, and there's no way to really describe the logic behind that novelty, but I know it exists and I know people are a fan of it, so I know people will pay.
yeah. I guess what I really mean is like, do you think like more than half of the Switch audience will pay for this expansion pass? Because I'm not.
Yeah, I don't think more than half will pay for it, but I think a sizable chunk will.
Yeah, maybe like a quarter because
Yeah, the biggest thing to tell is the thing that will really determine whether this succeeds or not is how people make money in this pandemic world. The amount of disposable income that is around right now is, well, if you live in the United States, it's not looking too good. And I think that more than anything will determine whether people pay for it. Not necessarily whether the price is justified, but more if people just have the money to pay.
yeah, which I guess brings up the next question that I've been wondering about is will the outrage and backlash to the price make Nintendo walk it back? Which at this point, as time goes on, I'm questioning if that's even possible at this point.
I feel like the only way Nintendo walks this back is really if the pandemic affects sales.
Yeah, because one
That's
thing I do want to bring up is, do you remember when Xbox, I forget Xbox membership or whatever it's called, when they were
Xbox Live.
Xbox Live? Yes, they told their player base that they were going to double the price from $60 to $120,
Mhm.
and they immediately walked it back in a day.
Yeah, well, that makes sense though. Microsoft, for better or worse, listens to their audience.
I mean, mind you, they actually lose money on their console sales.
Yeah, and especially because Microsoft, out of the big three, isn't the best well received overseas. It makes sense they'll be more in tune to their domestic audience. Meanwhile, Nintendo and Sony, I mean, they're juggernauts.
Yeah,
They got everything. Like, I don't think Nintendo will walk this back unless the pandemic continues to stifle wages for people, meaning there's not enough disposable income for people to pay. And if that is a sizable amount, they may lower the prices just so they can break even.
yeah.
But that's really dependent on that. I think that would be the only thing that I could see them changing it, because I don't think it's going to be outrage.
You don't think?
Nintendo at this point is too big to fail.
Yeah, pretty much. Because,
Th-
for example, the trailer I believe had 11,000 likes to 13,000 dislikes. Like people are not happy with this.
People weren't fine with Metroid Prime Federation Force. Did that really change anything?
I mean, it's a game, not a necessity to access certain things behind a paywall.
I mean, yeah, that's true. But at the same time, the thing locked behind the paywall is just retro games. If it was new games, I think it'd be worse. But with retro games, I feel the controversy is enough for them to really skirt by.
Yeah, probably.
And I mean, even with the Animal Crossing New Horizons, if this happened last year, in the middle of the pandemic, I think controversy would have been big enough because everyone was stuck at home, and Animal Crossing just dropped, and it was the pandemic game. But now that a year has passed, vaccinations have rolled out, people are coming back to work, the controversy probably just isn't enough.
Right.
Because the biggest thing is that for Nintendo to really walk back something, it really needs to affect, like, not just gaming, but the normie sphere.
Yeah, that is fair because the Xbox Live price increase affected literally everybody.
Yeah.
And it was such a substantive price increase that everybody got mad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, with this, I mean, if little Timmy doesn't care about Nintendo 64 games, he's just gonna just little Timmy's parents are just gonna keep paying for regular.
Yeah.
Because I mean, little Timmy just got Sora for Smash, and then that's who he's gonna be playing on Elite Smash. So
Yeah. Honestly, this price increase would probably be more justified if we had two more consoles added to this. Or maybe even just Game Boy as a whole, like Game Boy Advance, Game
yeah,
Boy Color. That alone would probably justify it, because I think that's as high as we can go as far as retro games are concerned.
I mean, they would also probably need to have a good library of Game Boy games.
That is fair.
Like you can't just repackage Tetris or a 2D Mario game, which the only ones on the Game Boy are remakes, except for the Mario Lands. But like you would have to put on like Pokemon, the Legend of Zelda games,
Yeah.
maybe some third party ones that are on there like Crash.
There are a few Metroid games on the Game Boys as well.
Oh, definitely Metroid. Um, Mario Kart. There's Mario Kart game. There's another big franchise that I am just completely blanking on. Kirby, yes, Kirby,
Yeah.
Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. Great game.
Yeah.
Would have loved to see it on the Switch.
But if Nintendo happens to hear this, we're not happy with this decision, and we would love for you to drop the price down or reconsider the whole expansion pass. But ultimately, it's not going to happen,
Yeah,
and we're smart enough to realize that.
yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna pay for it.
Yeah,
That's just way too much money for. That's just way too much money for not enough return. Like, I probably would play some Nintendo 64 games that were on there, but for that price point, nah.
I mean, mind you, Xbox Live is $60, but meanwhile,
You still get way more bang for your buck with $60.
yeah, because Xbox Online is good.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Nintendo Switch Online, the input delay is so atrocious that it makes you want to throw your controller at the wall.
Yeah.
And that's really what this whole hatred for Nintendo Switch Online hinges on, is the fact that Nintendo does not have good servers for their online. Hell, I would even argue that the online for the Wii U was better.
I didn't really play much Wii U Online, so I can't really comment on whether Wii U Online was better, but Switch Online definitely is not
Like, the only game where it's not noticeable is Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
good. Yeah. I mean,
And that's a less precise game, so
yeah.
it's funny that the one game that doesn't require precise inputs is the one that performs well online.
I mean, the only game that I really use for online functionality is Pokemon and Fire Emblem. And Fire Emblem is just so I can get experience in item drops.
Yeah, which there's not really much pushback from that having bad service.
Yeah, I mean, all you really need to do is just exist, and you get free items and experience. And for Pokemon, I mean, battles are not that intensive enough for lag to be a thing.
I mean, literally, you just have load times. That's it.
Yeah,
Like the whole battle system is reliant on loading screens. So
yeah. But anyways, Nintendo, please change. We know you won't, but please do. I'll buy your stuff if you're reasonable. But you're not being reasonable, so I'm not buying it.
all right, to round this out, we're gonna have a nice Nintendo sandwich. We're gonna have a good as the bread and bad as the meat. So let's talk about Pokemon Legends Arceus. Weird analogy, I know, but I thought of it. I'm sure I heard it from somewhere, but we're going with it now. We're already in too deep. So let's talk about another good part of Nintendo being uh,
Nintendo.
being just Nintendo games.
Yes, so the new Pokemon Legends Arceus trailer is a snuff film. It is a snuff film. The person dies. He is murdered by some unknown Pokemon. Why? I know it's October. I know it's spooky season. But why? Why, Nintendo? Seriously, what the hell? You heard the man's death cry. He's dead. This is a children's game.
For more context, the trailer that they released was in the style of a what's the movie I'm thinking of?
Blair Witch Project.
Blair Witch Project. Yeah, it's in that style of like first person camcorder.
Analog horror.
Yeah, and so they're recording out in like the
side of Mount Coronet. No, it's either Mount Coronet or Acuity Lakefront because there were trees, which lends me to think it's Acuity Lakefront because that's also where you can find snow runs.
Right. The whole idea is like they're obviously leading towards a new Hisuian form.
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are thinking Zorua. That's a lot of speculation. I guess we should really address the details of the Pokemon that was revealed.
So, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I didn't see shit. I cannot tell you what it was. People have drawn lines over outlines. They've circled, they've zoomed in, they've enhanced. I see static and blur. So I don't know what the fuck anyone is talking about.
So most people are going off the description. Like a lot of people have made mock-ups of like what a Hisuian, Zorua, and Zoroark would look like. Like most people are basing it off of like a mix of red and white fur, mostly.
Yeah. So, and also part of the reason people think it's Hisuian, Zorua, and Zoroark is because of the fact that he specified that it's 707, which is which the Unova Dex numbers for Zorua and Zoroark is 7677. In my opinion, it's a bit of a reach.
I mean, because really, Game Freak doesn't make these kinds of like little details. That stuff is exclusive for Smash.
No, I mean Game Freak does do it, but it's mainly with the names of Pokemon, not necessarily with hinting at a Pokemon.
Right.
Like, the thing about it is that a lot of people do think it's Zorua and Zoroark, mainly because the comparisons to Vulpix and Growlithe, who are canines.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the Shinx line because we've already seen them. Some people were thinking it's Frostlass, but no, we've seen all of Snorunt and Frostlass, meaning it's probably not Glalie either. I think potentially. Now this is an unpopular opinion. Poochyena.
Wow. That one just you need a moment to process that.
So here's my thought process. Poochyena is canine. It is a canine Pokemon. Now imagine this. I mean, you saw the big departure between Zigzagoon and Galarian Zigzagoon.
Yep.
One is Trash Panda. No. One is trash. It's a raccoon that is brown, and the other looks like it's Gene Simmons. Now think about this. Imagine a Poochyena that's red and white. Imagine Santa.
Okay, you kind of got me a little bit there.
Come on. You can see it. Poochyena. Red and white, yellow eyes, Poochyena. And it would make more sense that a Hisuian Mightyena would kill someone over a Hisuian Zoroark. Or whatever the evolution could be. Because for all we know, it's not a Mightyena or a Zoroark or whatever. For all we know, it could be a new evolution, like in the vein of Cleavor, Weirdeer, and Basculegion.
Yeah, which most likely we'll find out within the next coming month.
Yeah.
Or maybe even 2 weeks, because Game Freak doesn't really hold that information for that long.
I mean, how long was the Surfetch glitch theme on the website? Remember when they revealed Surfetched? It was through the website being glitched.
Huh.
Oh.
I actually do not remember that.
Yeah, that's how they revealed Surfetched. I don't know how long they lasted, but it wasn't too long. I do remember people thinking that Game Freak did it on accident and were roasting them, but then it was like, no, we did this on purpose, you fools. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I think potentially Puchiana.
All right, you got me on that one.
Come on, I mean, think about it. A lot of people shit on Puchiana, rightfully so, because Puchiana and Mariana are bad. They're not really good in game. They're not really good competitively. The only thing they got going for them are their looks, and even then, they get outclassed by all the other canines. I mean, Zora and Zorak are just better Puchiana and Mariana.
Yeah.
So come on, Puchiana and Mariana. Ice Dark. Yes, that's Weavile's type. Yes, it has a lot of weaknesses. But Weavile is S tier, okay? So it can work.
All right. But
Overall, I like the way that they did the trailer. It was unique. We've never seen this out of Pokemon before.
yeah, not even from any really Nintendo-based IPs.
Yeah. And I know the franchise has always implied Pokemon kill people, but this is the first time they've out and out just shown it in a very overt way. This Pokemon murder that man.
I mean, the fact that it's a um, Blair Witch Project ripoff parody kind of exemplifies that.
Yeah. Also, I did like the little note that this is actually the video is found in present day, as it's found in the present day Canalave Library archives. But presumably, this video was taken in the past with the Arceus phone.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, I
Which
never did get your thoughts. What do you think about the Arceus phone's existence?
I'm sure there's a lot of backlash. This is the first time actually hearing of it. I did see like a snapshot of it, but I didn't think it was like.
Yes, it's a smartphone, and it's not feudal. I think it's Meiji period Japan. Either
which
way, smartphones didn't exist back then.
which is very weird considering the time frame that they're trying to depict in Legends Arceus, especially with Pokeballs being extremely rudimentary.
Yeah. However, what if it's a phone made by Arceus, sent through time and space through Dialga and Palkia?
Well, let's wrap up the segment there.
Fine!
I uh, honestly, I don't know how to address that. I
I mean, how else are you going to explain a smartphone appearing in Meiji period Japan? Or,
that's the problem I have with it.
I mean, yes, we know that technological based Pokemon exist. I mean, Magneton exists back then.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Uh,
Now, I
uh,
swear to God, if we see a Porygon, I'm going to be mad. Porygon has only been around in universe for about 30 years.
yeah.
Either way, I like the trailer. I think it's Poochyena. Poochyena gang, hashtag Poochyena gang. Hisui and Poochyena for the win.
All right. Well, we're going to do something a little different this time. We're not going to make our political segment our last segment because we have a lot to talk about for our last segment. And
So,
it's going to be pretty long, so we want to save that for last. So let's go ahead and talk about the uprise and all the worker strikes that have been going on all across the country.
yes, something Trevor Noah of The Daily Show affectionately called Striketober.
Oof, God. Which the fact that is happening is great because strikes are good.
Yes, but unfortunately, it's due to very abhorrent situations.
So the one that has popped up the most is the IATSE strike, where I believe it's the International Alliance for Theater
Uh,
Staging and Entertainment, I think it's called.
Yes, I think it's that.
Yeah. So pretty much they were threatening to go on strike because they wanted better working conditions. They wanted meal breaks, they wanted shift breaks, they wanted weekends, and they wanted higher pay. And ultimately, they were planning on going on strike, but luckily enough, because they were planning on going on strike on Monday, but
Yeah.
literally on Saturday, they managed to strike up a deal uh, with, or the union managed to strike a deal where they got everything they wanted and they did not have to go on strike.
Yeah. And mind you, if this strike went through, people, Hollywood would be crippled. Movies across the board would be delayed. Do you know how important like theater stage workers are? They are incredibly important. They are the backbone of movies. They are the unsung heroes, the long lists of people that you see in the credits that you don't pay attention to. Those are the people. Those are the people that work those endless hours. If they go on strike and not work, Hollywood is crippled.
I mean, do we even have to talk about the Writers Guild strike that happened over a decade ago?
For those who don't remember, there was a Writers Guild strike over a decade ago, and because it happened, entertainment went to shit. The Simpsons, which was already starting to look bad, plummeted in quality. If you remember the show Heroes, that show went from the best thing next to sliced bread to complete gutter trash because the writers were on strike. So, yeah, and if it could affect shows in that capacity, imagine what this would affect for movies down the line. I mean, this would affect movies for the rest of the decade. So,
I mean,
it's good that they have this level of bargaining power, in my opinion, because to be able to cripple the industry that hard really goes to show that we need to appreciate these workers and give them proper conditions. Because without them, the things we enjoy don't get made.
and the only reason they have leverage is because the nature of the industry. I mean, even in the pandemic, we needed entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, everyone was stuck at home, and entertainment was really all we got. I mean, we need these people to keep us sane, to give us escape. And for that, they need to be treated properly and given proper working conditions because their previous working conditions, especially during a pandemic, were absolutely abhorrent. Especially because some of these people, like I know for the new Mission Impossible movie, they were basically the vanguard for determining whether movies could be made during a pandemic. Those people specifically that were working on the Mission Impossible film, the one where Tom Cruise infamously ranted about the fact that people weren't wearing masks, by the way, based. But yeah, these people are incredibly important. And I think it's good that they were going to go on strike. I mean, personally, I kind of wanted them to go on strike anyways, just to prove a point. But they did get what they wanted, and that's always a plus.
Overall, they just got what they wanted. They managed to exercise their power that they had as workers and managed to negotiate with the entertainment industry and just end up with a W.
Yeah, I mean, this also shows just how important unions are. People, unions are the lifeblood of workers. We need unions to protect us from the corporations and the elites that literally want to put you into slavery, wage slavery. They will run you down into the ground, they'll grind you into dust, and they expect you to come back right as rain the next day. Unions help prevent that. Unions are the ones that give you breaks. Unions are the ones that ensure that your working conditions are healthy and that you don't die. Unions are the ones that will protect you from being fired under unreasonable conditions. Unions fundamentally change how work in America and the world over goes down. And we need to ensure that unions maintain this power, if not gain more power for advocacy.
Now, before we dive too deep into the circumstances and consequences of the strike increase, I do want to point out the other ones that have been going on that are actually happening. For example, the John Deere strike that's happening. the Kellogg cereal strike is also going on.
There's the Netflix strike and the Kaiser Health strike.
Yeah, which I forget which one it is, whether it's the Kellogg's or John Deere strike happening, but it's happening in like 5 states. One of them.
I believe the John Deere one is the one that's happening in 5 states.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Because I believe it's based out of Illinois, but they've got like
Iowa.
or, no, it is based in Illinois, but there are 7 plants in Iowa,
That's what it
and
was.
they've got 5 in Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, the big push is really just the one thing that we really want to point out is really just how COVID has opened our eyes to the problems that are affecting the working class.
I mean,
Because
yeah.
let's face it, these were all issues, but the fact that at the beginning of the pandemic we were pushed into like a mini recession, and our economy just pretty much crashed, and we're still struggling to get out of the consequences of the pandemic, has shown like, yeah, we do not treat our workers well. Their wages have not increased at all to keep up with inflation, and so they can't keep up with things like housing, with higher education, with anything that is required to live a life above survivability.
Yeah. No, I totally agree that this was a problem before the pandemic, and the pandemic only exacerbated it. And I would also say that this is also ties into a wider issue that doesn't just affect the working class, but pretty much from the middle class downwards, the labor shortage that's going on, where we're having many people in various different sectors of jobs leaving because the working conditions are just not worth it anymore. And it's not like these are just entry level people, these are people with years worth of experience leaving the industry so they can find better work. And it's happening everywhere.
And now, like, the higher expertise jobs have all filled up. And I mean, at this point, why would someone work a retail job to get yelled at probably 3 Karens a day than just to get unemployment? Because why put in that extra work? And conservatives will probably go into, oh, that's people being entitled, people wanting to be lazy and having the government sustain them. But it's not that. It's more of an issue of, why is the wage so low that unemployment is comparable to the minimum wage and is worth it for people to
And
live off of that rather than minimum wage?
and what's even crazier about that is that our unemployment isn't really that good. It could be far better.
Yeah,
And that really is saying something because
because
living on unemployment isn't easy either. It's very difficult, it's stressful, it's painstaking to live off of unemployment. But the fact that people are seeing that as a better alternative to working shows just how bad working conditions are nowadays.
because mind you, if people worked, let's just say $15 an hour is the set new minimum wage, and unemployment does not move, why would people stay on minimum wage?
Yeah.
Like, retail jobs would fill up. People would be in much better moods, and uh, people will be able to afford more. But you do have the upper class saying, like, oh, but that means my dollar will be worth less overall. Good.
It's
The
like,
wealth gap is big enough as is.
yeah. And the problem that I really have with all the people that complain about all of this and say that people are being entitled is that in the long term, under capitalism, the rich would end up becoming richer under that.
They
Like
are.
I feel like even the people that are rich are literally leaving money on the table with this. If people have better wages and better working conditions, that means they work harder and that means they have more disposable income. When they have more disposable income, that means they pay for more things, meaning you will make more money. Because what is better? Five people with 5 people only getting $5 so they can only buy your product once a month, or 10 people getting $20 and they buy your product 3 times a month. I mean, even for the rich and powerful, you only gain money from this. Yet, people oppose this because, well, there's a lot of contempt for the working class and for the poor. And yeah, another thing I do want to bring up is when we say working class, we don't just mean like
Miners.
the blue collar miner. Working class means retail workers, fast food drivers, salespeople, basically anyone that doesn't work in any type of like blue collar, I mean white collar institution really ends up working class nowadays.
And the reason we have to bring it up at all and distinguish that is because the working class is an easy conservative dog whistle for, oh, the miners working over in, what's a mining state?
West Virginia.
West Virginia, yeah.
And by minors, they just mean white people, which isn't really accurate anymore. The majority of the working class in America nowadays are black and brown women working service jobs, or they're working what's the name of the job that like say a nurse would do? Like not like a nurse in a hospital, but like someone that like helps people in their homes, like assisted living. What's the name of that field? Hospitality.
There we go.
Yeah, it's mainly people working retail or hospitality jobs. That's the working class in America nowadays. These are the people that really need help, but all workers need help. But I do want to make the distinction that when we mean worker class, we don't just mean the dog whistle white people in mines. We mean everyone. The white people in mines, the brown and black people working hospitality, everyone that works in an Amazon sweatshop, anybody that works in retail, sales, you know, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. I know this is a bit of a stretch, but these are pretty much the consequences of the Reagan admin and their massive tax cuts.
Oh, it's not even a stretch. It's objectively true. Reaganomics literally screwed us over.
And how long did we have to wait for a sitting president to reject Reaganomics? Literally this year with Biden?
Yeah, I think he was. I mean, Hillary Clinton was one of the first mainstream politicians to publicly say to the country that Reaganomics didn't work, but Joe Biden is the first president to acknowledge it.
And that's the point, because he has all of the power. Like, he is literally right now the second most powerful man in the world, right behind the real president of the United States, Donald Trump. Jokes. I hope you all know that's a joke.
I was about to say, we all know the real most powerful man in America is Joe Manchin. Literally holding our Senate hostage still, as he profits off of coal lobbies. The same coal lobbies that are currently hammering the coal miners that they claim to care about. The ones that need unionization so that their working conditions are actually safe and that they don't die of black lung. Jesus Christ.
Do you remember that one, what's it called? That one coal company owner, the one that John Oliver made fun of?
Oh yeah, the guy that they said get fucked?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you know that he actually died of black lung?
Good! Fuck him! That's karmic punishment that didn't come soon enough. But I do have a question though. How did he get black lung? He's rich. What the hell is he doing in a coal mine to get black lung? You're a millionaire. Why are you even there? Either way, get fucked, and I hope you rot in hell.
Oh yeah, Bob Murray. That was it.
Yeah, eat shit, Bob. Rest in piss, rot in hell. Fuck you.
What were we talking about again? Oh
Striketober.
Yeah, strikes. We were talking about strikes. Overall, it's just a consequence of, how people in power just do not know how to handle our economy and don't know how to help the working class.
No. Not that they don't know. They are completely unwilling. They know how to fix this. They have known how to fix this for decades. It is an unwillingness to help that is the culprit. which is far more insidious. Because they know. They would be stupid not to know. And I don't think this happened because people are stupid.
Yeah.
This happened because people are malicious. And they don't care for the working class and for the average American, as they're nothing more than pawns on a chessboard for them to checkmate each other in the jockeying for global power, pretty much. So, overall, the strikes are based, they need to continue, and we as a populace need to support the strikers. We need to support strikers, and also, if you are a worker, join a union. Join your local union for whichever industry you're in. Show support for these industries show support for the unions that are protecting you from the harms that these industries want to hold you down on. I mean, remember earlier this year with Amazon? Amazon fought tooth and nail to stop unionization because they knew that if their workers unionized, they would ask to be treated better.
And all for what? So Jeff Bezos can win a measuring contest with Elon Musk?
Just so Jeff Bezos can literally die with the most amount of money ever so no one can surpass him. I mean, fuck Jeff Bezos. Honestly, if you're a Bezos simp, you need to get help. You really need to get help. I'm sorry. We shouldn't be propping up Bezos. But also, if you're an Elon Musk simp, you also need to get help. Because that man literally got rich off of blood diamond money. Not blood diamond. It was like emeralds or something. Either way.
Now here's the big question.
He's evil.
Here's the big question. Which simp is worse?
Considering that Bezos simps just straight up don't exist, I'd have to say the Elon Musk simps, especially because they think of him like he's some type of Tony Stark. Elon Musk isn't in labs, people. He isn't out there developing the next Iron Man suit. Elon Musk is literally just sitting there talking with his son of unknown name and shoving away his quote-unquote socialist girlfriend.
Oh, they're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that Grimes is any better, but Elon Musk is worse.
And all of that while still wearing a Wario costume.
What?
Remember in SNL, he wore a Wario costume.
See, I don't pay attention to really anything he does in pop culture because he's a piece of shit. But that explains Comrade Waluigi on Twitter. Rest in peace, not really, he's a tanky, but still.
But before we wrap up this segment on strikes, I do want to touch on specifically the Kaiser Health strikes.
Yeah.
Because overall, of all the strikes happening, they are at most risk. Because for context, the Kaiser Health, I forget the name of the company as a whole, but it's
Kaiser Permanente, I believe.
That is it. Yes, they are hospitals based in California and Oregon, which a bunch of workers left because they're out there fighting COVID, and I wouldn't blame them for honestly leaving because
they're not being protected.
They're not being protected at all, and it's extremely unsafe. They could be bringing COVID to their families.
Which, it's not that they could, they are, and then being expected to return to work.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure there are people who are working there who then have to go, but not because of work, but because they need help with COVID.
Yeah. And the worst part is that they were trying to pass a policy internally that would make it so new hires get paid less and have less protections. These are people that would be saving lives. We're already in a huge shortage of medical personnel due to COVID. And these fucks want to make it so that the next set of medical workers are lined up to die faster. What do you really accomplish? You make money in the short term, but guess what? Your slave workforce is dead. And guess what? Because the slave workforce was working to stop a pandemic that kills anyone, it's not like you'll have an easy time replenishing said workforce. Because the replenishers are dead. So, Kaiser Health, you're fucking stupid. Protect your workers. They are literally the people that are stopping us from complete and total obliteration. Get your shit together.
And what's worse is now we're living in a reality where COVID affects children now.
I mean, COVID always has potential to affect children, but now it is most assuredly will affect children.
Yeah, which I'm not even sure if conservatives have walked back that talking point at this point.
About that kids can't catch COVID?
Yeah.
Oh no, they haven't.
I mean, they're still wanting kids to be in person still.
I mean, I told you about the wars that are taking place at school board meetings between anti-mask, anti-vax parents and school board members that want to have mask mandates.
Honestly, I just had to stop watching those. Those did not feel real at all, and just made my hope for humanity just lessen watching them.
It's incredibly sad. I told you about the one woman who I believe is running for school board who got doxxed for supporting a mask mandate. Not only was she doxxed, she had DHS called on her to have her child removed for quote-unquote abuse.
Yeah, thanks Tucker Carlson for that.
I mean...
Because you remember the segment where he's like, if you see someone with a child wearing a mask, call Child Protective Services, because that is child abuse. Oh,
yeah, okay. The hogs are out in full force, and dear God. And also, here's the obligatory fuck you, Tucker Carlson. Because Tucker Carlson is a gigantic piece of shit who does not care about anyone but the billionaires that he simps for.
Thankfully, this was not our last segment because we get to move into something a little more lighthearted here.
Yeah, well, a little lighthearted. Marvel Studios is pushing back a lot of their projects. Unfortunately, Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel, I believe it's Doctor Strange, Miss Marvel, Blade, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I'm forgetting a movie. The Marvels, Black Panther 2, all of them are getting pushed back.
Wow. It's almost surprising after a whole year of waiting after Endgame and then another year added because of COVID.
Yeah.
That we're finally getting all these projects, and now they're getting delayed again.
Yeah.
Which,
but
I'm gonna be honest here. I don't really mind the delays.
Oh, neither do I. I think the delays are perfectly fine.
I mean, I think delays overall are better. I mean, yeah. I'm going to pull an example from gaming here, but Animal Crossing New Horizons was delayed 4 months, I believe.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it ended up with one of the best games for quarantine ever.
Yeah.
So.
And that is even with all the stuff they left in the game that they wanted to repackage as DLC. So, I think delays are always good. Well, not always good, but for the most part, they are good.
Yeah. Which I'm thinking of a Miyamoto here. Was it Miyamoto or Iwata?
I think it was Iwata.
Because I believe it went something like delayed games are bad once, but rushed games are bad always, or something to that extent.
Yeah, it's something along those lines.
Yeah.
Yes. So, unfortunately, it is being delayed, but I think it will work. But
yeah, overall, we've lived through a hiatus of Marvel for more than a year and a half. I think we'll be able to live with this one.
Yeah. On some bright news, for those who are interested, Harry Styles is gonna be in Eternals, playing as Star Fox, aka Eros, aka the brother of Thanos. Who saw that coming? I didn't think I would ever. Harry Styles, Watermelon Sugar High himself, 1/5 of the band formerly known as One Direction.
Did they really announce this less than a month away from release?
Yeah, Variety.
I'm having trouble processing that, honestly.
Harry Styles, everyone. Harry Styles is coming to steal your girl, which is very fitting because Eros in the comics is a massive womanizer. So he's coming to steal your girl in a theater near you when Eternals drops November 4th. Not sponsored.
Probably in a dress too.
Hopefully. But yeah, Harry Styles. Like honestly though, Harry Styles as Thanos' brother Eros. I don't know much about Star Fox, but from the little I know, it sounds perfect.
Fair enough.
I mean, you're just having trouble processing Harry Styles in the MCU
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, which does lead to like a bad trend that I'm seeing with casting for superhero movies nowadays.
What is?
Like, I'm seeing like we're not giving like low time actors the spotlight anymore. Mostly, I think for Eternals, they're not guilty of this. I think with maybe exception of one actor, but I think his name is slipping by me right now because the Eternals has a mostly like original cast. They aren't pulling like high level celebrities, but
I mean, the guy playing Gilgamesh is a really popular Korean actor. I mean, he was the best character in Train to Busan. Please watch Train to Busan. Amazing movie.
yeah. So then again, was Simu Liu really that popular before his debut in Shang-Chi?
I mean, not really.
Because before he was, I mean, the one thing that everybody memed about was the fact that he was a stock photo. He was in a bunch of stock photos, and they used that to meme on him and his reactions
I mean,
to people freaking out about his movies.
I mean, hey, if you're a stock photo person, that's how you get in.
Yeah,
That's legitimately how you get in sometimes.
yeah, but I'm seeing it on really both sides.
I mean, that's fair, but then you have someone like I'm very sorry if I butchered this name, Alakwa Cox, who is a first-time actress playing Echo in Hawkeye and getting her own spin-off show before she's even debuted in any acting.
That is fair.
So I think it's a little bit of give and take. And also, I mean, I'm fine with Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Like, Harry Styles, there could be worse choices. And plus, we're also getting established actor in Will Poulter playing as Adam Warlock in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So it's not like they're totally just throwing it out. I mean, sometimes you get, I mean, come on. Like, with Eternals, we get Harry Styles. Then we get Alakwa Cox in Hawkeye. And then we get, like, Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man. And then we get Lizzo and She-Hulk. And then Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight. And then we get Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
We have a good mix of actors.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah. It's just Harry Styles is just completely out of left field.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. But now, but with the announcement of that casting, do you think we may get more info on Thanos in Eternals? Because in the comics, Thanos is an Eternal. He's just an Eternal with a deviant look.
Yeah.
So do you think we may potentially get more info on Thanos in Eternals?
For sure. For sure.
Especially because the movie is, like, longer than Endgame.
Which is very weird to me, considering that, I mean, they've pretty much have attempted to completely make the Infinity Stones irrelevant, so learning more about him is kind of pointless at this point.
I mean, Thanos in the comics is still more than just his Infinity Stones. I mean, there's many times where Thanos is just completely dominant without the stones. I mean, he does have the Cosmic Cube. I mean, him and his Black Order are still like universe level threats in terms of their ability to conquest.
Right. I'm just like, I feel like I've learned everything that I want to about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't mind more information. I wouldn't mind seeing like a backstory or two, but
I think any
or a
information
flashback or two. But
I think any information we get on Thanos is going to be in a way to set up Star Fox.
I can't get over that name.
He came out before the video game.
Sure.
Wait, Nintendo stole from Marvel, okay? Star Fox, the video game, came out after Star Fox, the Sex God.
Thank you for that. We appreciate your input.
Fine. Anyways, moving on to our last segment, and while yes, this is our last segment, it's certainly not least. It's time to talk about DC Fandome 2021.
which we learned a lot about for
There's
sure.
so much for DC Fandome, and I'm excited for all of it. Okay, all of it is a stretch, but I'm excited for a good portion of it.
Yeah, because I mean, mind you, there was a lot of talks about like animated series and some comic series, but of course the big ones that are pulling from are some DCEU content and some shows coming out.
Yeah. I think to start, let's talk about Shazam Fury of the Gods.
Yeah,
What do you think about the fact that this movie is going to still not feature Black Adam as the main villain?
honestly, that's fine by me. Honestly, let him have his movie first.
Yeah. I also really like that Shazam's Rogues Gallery is getting more of a shine in these movies compared to it always being Black Adam, because let's be honest, Black Adam is the guy. Black Adam is the Joker to Shazam's Batman, the Lex Luthor to Superman, the Cheetah to the Wonder Woman. You get the whole thing.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, because of the fact of how like different and good it is compared to other DC films, Shazam has really put a mark on the DCEU for the better.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see the rest of the Shazam family, because I think this is one of really the major DC properties that is really going to show all of the Shazam family, not just like Billy and Mary, but also just everyone.
Yeah. Overall, my excitement for this movie mostly stems from the fact that the first Shazam was at least good.
Yeah, and Zachary Levi is a great actor.
Yeah,
He played that role perfectly.
honestly. Though I am worried about all the child actors aging pretty fast. That is something they're going to have to take care of really quickly.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, nothing a little old multiverse magic can't fix. But before we talk about the multiverse, let's talk about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That one is the one that I'm probably least excited for and have
Same.
less opinions of out of all of them.
Yeah.
Mostly because we get more like info from the other ones and more like re- revelations of the plot.
Yeah.
This one was because what really stands out to me more is like the behind the scenes, if anything.
Yeah.
Like the
Mhm.
only thing that really sticks with me because that was honestly the least memorable of all of the DCEU
Yeah.
products that were being shown off. I just remember Jason Momoa having a good time backstage.
Yeah.
That's all I remember, honestly.
Yeah. I personally didn't really like the original Aquaman. I found it pretty boring, personally.
Yeah,
So I'm hoping this one will change my mind, because I do think Justin, Jason Momoa is a good actor. But the other thing I'm also disappointed in, but I also know that was always bound to happen, is that Amber Heard will be returning as Mira.
oh boy,
Unfortunately.
oh boy.
Yeah. Eh, I mean,
Let's not jump on that debate.
yeah, but overall, I'm hoping this movie surprises me.
Yeah, I will say that I at least found the first Aquaman decent.
Hmm.
It wasn't like on as good as Shazam, but it was a good time.
Yeah. Next one that we should talk about then is Black Adam.
I have a lot more to say about that for
Oh,
sure.
same. For one,
I mean, even the small little 2 minute segment had a lot to discuss there.
yeah, the way he pretty much just electrocuted that man was amazing.
and and honestly, the people like trying to promote the movie, like, oh yeah, Dwayne the Rock Johnson was perfect for this role, and I know that's all like promotional fluff, and they're trying to sell us on the idea as him as Black Adam, but I think they're right.
No, I think so too. Like, I remember when it was first announced back in, like, what, 2018 was when we first heard about The Rock playing as Black Adam. And I remember just hearing about it, I was like, oh my God, The Rock. But the more that I think about it, the more I think it works. One, because WWE stars are actors.
Yeah.
Acting is the name of their game. So it would make sense that they'd be able to act well in other things. Kind of
Yeah.
like how theater actors transition to movies or TV show actors transition to movies. I think The Rock could play this very well. And it will be really interesting, especially because he's facing the Justice Society of America.
Hmm.
I believe they showed off Dr. Fate, the
Yes, Dr.
Atom.
Fate will be in the movie. Yeah.
It's Dr. Fate, the Atom, and two other characters I can't remember, but they're all Justice Society of American members. Which makes me think that this takes place on what would be considered Earth 1, as that's where the Justice Society is from. So I'm
Which
really interested.
which makes me curious about this movie because based on the knowledge I have from like Injustice and the comics, you can't really sell this as like a redeemable villain like with the Joker movie. So I'm wondering how they're going to take this movie.
Well, I mean, Black Adam isn't all evil all the time. He's kind of like he's kind of like Namor in a lot of ways in the sense that he's very protective over Kahndaq, which is his country that he rules.
Right.
He's very protective over Kahndaq, and he's willing to do a lot to protect it. I mean, I believe, what was it? There's a comic book storyline where Kahndaq got destroyed, and Black Adam single-handedly fought the Justice League, the Justice Society of America, and the Teen Titans 1-on-30. And won.
Wow.
He is ridiculous. So I honestly think they may make it so that it ends with like an uneasy like relationship with the JSA where it's like, you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. You leave Kahndaq alone, and I will leave you alone.
Okay.
I think it will end with that because I think Black Adam really works well as like a threat that exists in the background, like Doctor Doom or Namor, in the sense that
Yeah.
if you see Kahndaq, you know Black Adam is gonna be there, and you know shit's gonna go down.
Yeah. And that you were it was pretty good. Pretty good a coincidence that you actually mentioned Doctor Doom because that's actually what was going on in my mind as you were describing that.
Yeah, he's definitely like a Doctor Doom-esque figure, and I'm really excited because Black Adam is one of my personal favorite villains. One of the first DC animated movies I ever saw was Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam,
Yeah.
and he was great in that movie. And overall, I just like him. He's good in Injustice. He was good in the World War III storyline, where once again he went ape shit and just took on the JSA, the Justice League, and the Teen Titans. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this movie, and also just because I also like the JSA.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely had a lot more to say on that one compared to Aquaman because, like I said before, my excitement for that movie is very minimal.
Yeah. In terms of rankings of excitement between the three we've discussed so far, I would say it's Black Adam, then Shazam, Fury of the Gods, then Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yeah. The next two that we're talking about are probably hold more excitement for us just because they show so much.
Yeah.
But which one do you want to touch on next?
Definitely The Flash.
Yeah. So this one caught me by surprise, mostly because the big reveal in the trailer,
Yeah.
it put me on pause for a moment because I didn't realize it at first. Like I thought it was, but then I wrote it off. Like there's no way they're doing that. Like for context, they show in the Flash they show a Batman, and when I say a Batman, I don't mean the Batman of the DCEU. I mean Michael Keaton's Batman.
The one from the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, which
The,
I'm like, there's no way that's real. There's no way I'm buying that. And then I see the IMDb notification, The Flash 2022, starring Michael Keaton, and I'm like, oh god, it's happening.
it's happening.
Because the they don't really show him, but they show like the backside of him. Because like
Yeah.
nowadays, whenever you see Batman, the ears on the cowl aren't really well defined. But
Yeah.
those pointy ears definitely give off
Yeah.
an 80s-esque vibe.
Yeah. I'm shocked. Especially because since the Flash 2022 is taken from the Flashpoint paradox, you would think that we would get a Thomas Wayne because that's the Batman that is prominent within the the Flashpoint storyline, which is that Barry Allen goes back in time to save his mother, fucks up the timeline, and in that timeline, Bruce Wayne is shot by Joe Chill, and so Thomas Wayne becomes Batman and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. But they're going a completely different direction, and we're getting just Michael Keaton Batman to be the one that will be the big Batman of the story.
Which is fine, but that does lead me to be really cynical about the Flash, in all honesty, for several reasons.
Yeah,
Because
talk about it.
Because, for one, they're going to start jumping on multiverse stuff. In comparison to Marvel jumping on multiverse stuff with things like No Way Home, with Loki, with Multiverse of Madness, with What If. And mind you, Marvel has had 10 plus years to figure this stuff out, with over 20 different projects already out. And meanwhile, DC has... When did Man of Steel come out? 2013? And they haven't had more than 10 projects come out yet.
Yeah.
So I'm very hesitant because it feels like they're rushing into multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm not even really sold on the DCEU, really.
Yeah.
Like, I've been talking about a lot of excitement because there are some elements that I see in stuff like Flash and or stuff like The Flash and Black Adam that I saw in, like, Wonder Woman and I saw in Shazam. It's just, I don't know. I'm in like a love-hate relationship when it comes to the DCEU because we get our Shazams, we get our Wonder Womans, and
then you get Suicide Squad.
We get Suicide Squad.
We
get the original Justice League.
Yeah.
We get Wonder Woman 84. And so, mind you, I'm now like right now I'm on the peak of my high because just seeing the Suicide Squad was amazing.
Yeah, it was such a good movie. Even though the original Suicide Squad is a guilty pleasure movie for me, it is undeniable that the Suicide Squad is the better film and just overall a better movie.
I cannot agree on how you describe Suicide Squad. That movie is unwatchable.
It's a guilty pleasure for me. I mean, it's just so funny, especially when you just see Deadshot walk up to tell him, he's like, "Lady, you are evil!" It's like, yes, she is. All of you are.
And also, Harley Quinn is going to take down the Enchantress with a bat.
I mean, Captain Boomerang was with a boomerang.
Oh, that helps your argument out.
I'm just saying.
That definitely helps your argument out. Yeah, we got a bat and a boomerang. Let's take down someone who's literally terraforming the city.
You say that, but then you act like Clint walking around with a bow and arrow against the Chitauri was not the most badass thing in the original Avengers.
Okay, there's a difference between someone who can literally shoot a bow and arrow without looking and a guy with a boomerang.
It's a boomerang that can slit your throat.
So can a bow and arrow.
But it's a boomerang.
You're not selling...
And he's Australian.
That makes it better?
His name is Digger!
You're not selling me on this. In fact, you're making me even more glad that he died in the Suicide Squad. Spoilers, by the way.
Listen. You gotta take what you can get. If your thing are boomerangs and your thing is a bat, I mean... You're just not gonna use it when you fight against God? Come on, you gotta bring your A game.
You are defending the worst movie in the DCEU, and I am not willing to continue this conversation.
Listen, I'm just saying, it's a funny movie because it's so ridiculous.
Okay. Anyway, back to The Flash. So overall, I'm very cynical about the fact that they're jumping already into multiverse stuff. Especially because Marvel has had plenty of time to set this up, and meanwhile they're just jumping on it now with the Flashpoint. Mm-hmm. Which, mind you, why are you making the Flashpoint your first Flash story?
Yeah.
And also, maybe semi-popular, unpopular opinion, I don't like Ezra Miller's Flash.
Really?
I really don't. But that's mostly because I'm biased after seeing Justice League, and they try to make him like a Spider-Man-esque character.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think they should have done the multiverse sooner.
Really?
I think the multiverse should have been done far sooner in the DCEU. And here's my reason why. DC's multiverse, in my opinion, is way more intertwined with some of its bigger story arcs than Marvel's. Like, when you think of the DC multiverse, you think The Flash of Two Earths. You think Crisis on Infinite Earths. You think Final Crisis. Big multiverse events. Meanwhile, with Marvel, a lot of their big events are Civil War, Infinity War. I mean, yes, you have Secret Wars, but that's really the biggest multiversal event. Meanwhile, you have like I said, Civil War, Infinity War. You have what's the storyline that Secret Invasion? You have Secret Invasion. You have Dark Reign. Like those are big story. Days of Future Past, kind of multiverse, not really. But anyways, those are big Marvel storylines that don't necessarily need the multiverse. But DC's big storylines, the things that people remember, usually involved multiverse. I mean, even the Dark Side War that happened in New 52 involved the multiverse. It involved the crime syndicate of Earth 3 working with the Prime Earth superheroes to fight against Grail and Darkseid and the whole lunacy that the Anti-Monitor was in that story. But my point is that I think the multiverse should have been done sooner. I mean, I think they should have done movies, one in Earth 1, one in Earth 2, with Earth 1 being, for simplicity's sake, the main one we follow, and Earth 2 being the one with the JSA. So say you get a Superman movie, a Batman movie, a Wonder Woman movie, then you get a Green Lantern movie with Alan Scott, you get a Flash movie with Jay Garrick, you get a Dr. Fate movie with, I believe it's Kent Nelson, and then you just move on. And then the big storyline that comes together could be when they finally team up together.
See, I see your point there. Like you're saying, like overall in the scope of their universes, like DC's multiverse events have more impact than Marvel's.
Mm-hmm.
But the issue I have is that one, they don't have enough time yet. Which I mean, you're arguing against that point for me. But the big one for me is that they haven't even sold me on half the characters.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, I think higher of Hawkeye than I do of the Flash. And
Yeah.
that's the problem.
I mean, to be fair though, Hawkeye has had a character arc across like 5 movies now.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ezra Miller's Flash has been in
I mean,
one and a remake.
yeah. It's just over time I need to trust that these characters can stand on their own first before they dive into high concept material.
Yeah. I can see that.
Because honestly, the best movie has side characters and villains in it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, I mean,
like
let's be honest here. Prior to the Suicide Squad, did you know about Bloodsport? Did you know about Peacemaker, Blackguard, Weasel, Polka Dot Man? I mean, the biggest name characters in that movie was Starro, the Thinker, and Harley.
Yeah.
And Rick Flag.
Yeah.
And Waller. But yeah.
Yeah, pretty
Outside
much.
of that, everyone else is pretty much a nobody if you don't know deep DC Comics lore. I mean, you don't really see Bloodsport show up in a lot of mainline comics anymore. Same thing with Peacemaker.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they were used, and that's mainly because James Gunn is the type of person to take obscure comic book characters and make them mainstream. But yeah, you're right. I mean, the best characters are side characters and villains.
Yeah. Just I don't. This is the one project I'm the most cynical about. There's a lot to get us excited about, but I just have such a love-hate relationship with the DCEU, and this movie is the culmination of that.
Yeah. I do think Flashpoint is being done early, but at the same time, I feel like now you might as well do the multiverse because they can pull the same novelty that Marvel can with the multiverse, but better. Marvel has a lot of bad movies, but DC has had a lot of good movies outside of the DCEU. I mean, you have the Christopher
Reeves.
Reeves. Yes, I was about to say Christopher Walken. You have the Christopher Reeves Superman. You have the Alan West, may he rest in peace. You have the Michael Keaton Superman. You have the
Batman.
Christian. Did I say Superman? The Michael Keaton Batman. You have the Christian Bale Batman. You can have
Got the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Joaquin Phoenix Joker. What's the other live action movie? I'm forgetting. It's a Wonder Woman one. It's
Oh, that
old
was a
though.
show. That was a show.
Oh, it was a show. But even then, you could pull from the shows too. Like, I mean, Ezra Miller has already appeared in the Flash universe, the CW Flash universe. There's a lot of novelty that DC can really work with crossing over their multiverse that I think they can outperform Marvel with. Especially because DC has a lot more household characters. Everyone knows the Justice League prior to, the DCEU compared to, did you really know the Avengers roster prior to the MCU? Like, yeah, people knew about Hulk. Maybe some knew about Captain America, but Thor, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Hawkeye? No.
Yeah.
But everyone knows Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern. I mean, think about it. With the multiverse, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern can come back.
Oh, God.
And yes, I know you say, oh, God. But do you know how hype that would be? When it comes out in a multiverse film, where you see the return of Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, you know the theater will erupt.
What? How is that possible? The actor was shot.
Shut up. You know the theater would erupt with applause seeing him return. Was his movie bad? Yes. But will he be remembered with nostalgia goggles if he makes an appearance in a DCEU movie after decades? Absolutely. I mean, remember, Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 were not the most well-received movies. Yet everyone is chomping at the bit to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in No Way Home. I believe the same effect can happen with DC. And I think they really should lean into that. Not immediately with the bringing back all the characters, but they can start slow with someone like Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Well, so just to summarize all my thoughts right now, I do think they can perform well. I just don't trust them to.
That's fair. I mean, so some people are theorizing about the plot, which is that the Ezra Miller that we see front and center is not Barry Allen, but is instead Eobard Thawne playing the Reverse Flash. Because in the comics, before going back in time, Eobard Thawne is obsessed with superheroes. So much so that he got surgical reconstruction on his face to look like Barry Allen. So, some people are theorizing that the plot is that the Barry Allen that we see front and center with the new suit, that's actually the Reverse Flash. And the real Barry Allen is the one with the repurposed Batman suit that we see at the end.
That's a lot to throw at me.
And then also we still gotta deal with Supergirl that's also in this movie.
Really?
She's the girl that's with them in the Batcave. That's Supergirl.
Oh, I guess I must have missed that behind Michael Keaton.
Yeah. But I think it'd be really interesting because there is a lot of potential for this to work.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the story is gonna be about Barry's upset. His dad's still in prison for the murder of his mom that we all know his dad didn't commit. And so he wants to go back in time and save things, but obviously going back in time causes problems. So, but I think it'd be really interesting to see that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that leaves.
Before we get to the big one, I think we should go over the rest because we're going to have a lot to say about the big one.
Okay.
Peacemaker. Let's talk about Peacemaker next.
Okay, yeah. Overall, I mean, I guess we should start with our opinions of how he was in the Suicide Squad.
John Cena in the Suicide Squad really sold me on the idea that, yeah, WWE actors are actors and they will do pretty well in other mediums. Because he was so good as Peacemaker.
I mean, this is the textbook example of a D&D lawful evil character.
Yes. And I just love the fact he was just like, I'm supposed to be in prison. Why? Superhero stuff. You're not a superhero. What's your name? Peacemaker. And it's like that moment in Guardians of the Galaxy where it's like, who?
Honestly, the one line out of his entire performance that I remember is the line like, "I will keep peace, and it doesn't matter how many women and children I have to kill to get it." That is his best
Love
line.
it.
That is his best line.
Yes.
But overall, I do think he can carry a show, and I am
Yes.
looking forward to that.
My question is are the people that are his handlers the same people that were with Waller during the Suicide Squad?
Probably.
It looked like they were. At least some of them were. Like I know that the fat white guy and the blonde white girl look similar, but I know that the new black girl that's his partner definitely wasn't in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Which I'm just lazy. I didn't look up to see the names of these characters, but it looks pretty good. And we're also gonna see what his dad is like. My favorite scene in the trailer was him getting hugged by the bald eagle, and he's like, "Dad, take a picture." Dad, and his dad's just like walked away from him.
Yeah.
But overall, this Peacemaker show is going to be interesting. I'm interested in seeing who the villain is going to be.
That is true, considering that we are dealing with a villain now, with Peacemaker.
Villain.
Villain, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see Bloodsport show up again, considering, kind of shot him in the throat and everything.
Huh.
I doubt Bloodsport would play a major part, but like a cameo.
He'll probably just be in his mind.
Yeah.
And that's probably the extent that we'll get.
Yeah. Side note about Bloodsport, I really wish we saw the scene of Bloodsport putting Superman in the ICU. I know they couldn't afford Henry Cavill for the Suicide Squad, but it would have been amazing just to see like Superman flying around. You can just see Bloodsport just snipe him out of the sky with a kryptonite bullet. You just see Superman just like drop.
I mean, they've got no excuse. They didn't hire Henry Cavill for the Superman cameo in Shazam.
But this one, you would see more of his face, considering you would see Superman get shot and literally drop.
You don't have to do a front shot. You can do a back shot.
But how?
You can do a back shot with someone who has similar hair.
That's fair. But I imagine he shot him in the chest, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
Eh,
it's doable.
Yeah.
People behind the camera are creative.
Yeah. But I would have loved to see it just because, just hearing that line, he put Superman in the ICU for a week, I'm like, excuse me?
Which also leads me to believe that they don't have the planning in DCEU compared to Marvel.
I mean, not really. I mean, compared to Marvel, like, DC does have incidents of just superheroes fighting villains, and villains just one-upping them sometimes. I mean, yeah, and it's not unreasonable. I mean, Lord knows how many times Metallo has shown up with kryptonite to fuck up Superman. So an assassin using a kryptonite bullet isn't that weird. And at the end of the day, he still went to prison, so it's not like Superman lost.
Yeah.
Either way, I think Peacemaker's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Harley Quinn next?
Oh, yeah. So, have you watched Harley Quinn at all?
I have not, so this is going to be new for me.
Oh, yeah. The show overall was really innovative.
I just know Kite Man. Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kite Man. How the DCEU was managing to make characters stand out despite being like the absolute D tier of villains is amazing. Like Kite Man and Harley Quinn, Polka Dot Man and the Suicide Squad.
Oh my god!
But overall, yeah, it was really good. Like the humor was good. It was. I mean, it's not for kids. It's a pretty mature show. The humor was on top. Like they make several suggestive jokes. But the most innovative part is like normalizing Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy as a potential couple.
Yeah,
that's the big thing that the show does.
Yeah, I mean, in the comics right now, I believe Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy being together, I think is about to become a longer lasting relationship than Harley Quinn and Joker in the comics.
Yeah, because the big thing that like Harley Quinn does is try to get into is it the League of Villains or is that My Hero?
League of Villains is My Hero.
Yeah, then what is it?
The League of Doom?
Maybe?
Because
it's got Lex Luthor as the head.
I mean, yeah, the League of Doom.
That might be the League of Doom.
Is it called the League of Doom? It's something of Doom. Because it has Lex Luthor, Black Manta, Sinestro, those people.
Yeah, because she, like, for the first season, she tries really hard to get in there, and it is distraught because of the relationship with Joker.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like her way of one-upping her. And Poison Ivy is there to support her mentally, and then over time they do fall in love by the end of season 2.
That's good.
Honestly, it helps normalize a
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. There it is. That's the one. But yeah, it helps normalize a lesbian relationship, and that is well known in the comics, but now in an animated movie, it stands out. Now, mind you, for season 3, they didn't really show any animated segments. They showed
Catman.
they did show Kite Man, but they showed what's it called? They showed sketch segments where they didn't really fully animate it, but overall it will show like the development of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's character a bit more, or their relationship a bit more, and overall I just remember really loving the show.
Okay.
Yeah, especially because it's probably the most mature that DC has gone.
Is it available on HBO Max, or
Yeah.
Is DC Universe still a thing, or did that thing end?
I'm pretty sure that died like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I remember I only got DC Universe to watch Young Justice Outsiders, and then gone.
A nice segue, Shiny.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, our next topic about DC fandoms is Young Justice Phantoms, and
you can take the lead on this one because this is the animated show that you're more familiar with than me.
Okay, listen, people. Young Justice is the greatest DC animated show there is, and it's better than the original Teen Titans. And I will fight anyone that says otherwise, because they're wrong. Young Justice is the best.
He has and will fight people on this.
Yes. Listen. Young Justice is amazing. For those of you who don't know what Young Justice is, think Teen Titans, but instead of being isolated, it is part of a wider world with superheroes, and the characters develop and age. And they really tackle serious subject matter on top of the villains being very dynamic. Like, the overarching villains is the Light. The Light is basically the Legion of Doom, but better. It's run by Vandal Savage, but you have people like Lex Luthor, you have Granny Goodness, you have the Brain, Ra's al Ghul, Clarion the Witch Boy, like Ocean Master. They're like season 1 Light, and they're like the bad guys. Like, they are masterminding everything. And their enforcer is Sportsmaster, which for a lot of people, you're like, who the fuck is Sportsmaster? Sportsmaster is the best assassin you'll ever see in a hockey mask. His whole thing is that he kills you with sports equipment. Have you ever seen a man get his head chopped off with a discus? Have you ever seen a man come at you with a pole vault javelin? That's Sportsmaster! And he's amazing. And he's also the dad of Artemis, who is one of the main members of the team. Either way, anyways, back to Young Justice Phantoms, which is season 4. It is amazing so far. Right now, the current arc is on Mars, and it's dealing with the marriage of Superboy, Connor Kent, and Miss Martian, and how they're being married on Mars, and they're dealing with basically a race war. There is an impending race war between the white Martians and the green Martians, with the red Martians being on top. And the white Martians are being led by Miss Martian's brother, Malafa'ak, who is basically what black separatists are to the civil rights movements of old and current, in the sense that he thinks that the green and red Martians need to die. That, like, there's no living with them. You can't live with them. There are oppressors, and so they must die. Like, his whole thing is he wants to set off like a gene bomb that wants to kill off anyone that's not a white Martian, including his own family, because he's actually mixed race. His mother is a green Martian, and his father's a white Martian, and he's like, fuck all of them. Fuck the Greens, fuck the Reds, fuck the Mixed. All of you are dying. White Martians reign supreme. And I know I'm not doing it a service because you really need to watch this to really see the nuances of this, but it is probably one of the best takes I've seen on racism and a potential race war being handled by an animated medium. It is really good.
In
Like,
in summary, thank you for helping me not be the only one to endure his Sportsmaster rant.
Sportsmaster is amazing. And that listen, Young Justice will take underrated characters that you didn't know or care about and make them like badass. Like Sportsmaster is an F-less super villain, but they literally buffed him to be the enforcer of the light. Like that man was the big top dog assassin until he was replaced by Deathstroke next season. But let's be honest here, you're being replaced by Deathstroke. It's not that bad. Like, yeah, but it's so good. The heroes are amazing, and there are deaths that do last. Wally West dies in season 2, and he is yet to return, and I don't think he ever will, despite what everyone thinks. I think his death is going to be permanent. But Young Justice season 4, it's so good. Young Justice as a whole is great, and I'm really looking forward to this season. I really like what they're doing with the credits, where the credits are actually just another scene in and of itself, with the credits after episode 1 being about Violet talking about her crisis of faith with Islam, because she herself is not Muslim, but Gabrielle, the woman whose body she possesses, was Muslim. So she feels a kind of an affinity to Islam. Like she wears the hijab because she feels it would be disrespectful to take it off. But she herself does not have any personal affinity with the religion of Islam. So she's dealing with that. She's dealing with all of that and all the complicated feelings that come with that, on top of her breakup with Brion, aka Geoforce, aka King of Markovia. And then the second episode, its credits dealt with Terra, who, if you know anything from Teen Titans, Terra, the girl that spies on the Teen Titans, works for Deathstroke. Young Justice, not actually. Terra is Geoforce's sister, and she's dealing with the trauma of the fact that she's in exile. She's exiled from Markovia, and her brother is now basically running as a tyrannical dictator, and she can't reconcile with the fact that, like, she's separated from both of her older brothers, because her other older brother was previously the king before he was ousted, and now he's on the run. And Tara really just is alone. She doesn't know how to proceed with life. She's living in Happy Harbor in America, but it's not her home. And while she does enjoy being an outsider, she definitely misses her family. And I really do like that they're showing that, yeah, trauma from the last season does carry over. I mean, they have shown that throughout the season before, but they're really hammering it home this time that, like, these events fuck people up. You can't be a superhero and come out okay. You are traumatized, you are hurt, and that is fine, but it has lasting effects. And they do this for all characters. I mean, Superman deals with the fact that he's traumatized over the fact that he was cloned without his permission, and it's reflected in how he treats Superboy, because he doesn't know how to treat him, because he doesn't know how to deal with the fact that he's been cloned, or how Batman has to deal with the fact that, yeah, him spying all the time isn't a good thing, and it does alienate people, and he does get reprimanded from it by members of the League. And overall, like, I cannot just recommend enough Young Justice. Young Justice Phantoms right now is looking to be great. I'm excited for episode 3 that comes out tomorrow. And just watch it, people. It's free on HBO Max right now. Just please watch it. You're doing yourself a disservice by not watching it. It is probably one of the best animated shows DC has created, and Cartoon Network should be ashamed of themselves for canceling it all those years ago due to toy sales. It was a masterpiece and you know it, and now you're kicking yourselves because you don't have it. Mind you, you do have Teen Titans Go, and that is making you millions. But you could have had more!
Anyway, we should definitely move along because we are definitely way over time, and we still have two more aspects of DC Fandome to discuss.
Yes.
So, I do want to discuss the fact that they're changing Superman's logo
Not slogan.
or slogan. Slogan.
Yes.
I'm sorry, not logo, slogan. But they're changing it from what was it before? It was
Truth,
Truth, Justice,
justice,
and
and
the
the
American
American
Way,
way,
and they're changing it now to Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow.
which I think is appropriate. For one, Superman in the comics has frequently gone against the American government. I mean, remember, Lex Luthor was elected president in the DC universe. So, Superman and the American government ain't on the up and up all the times.
And overall, like Superman is no longer recognized just in America anymore. Back when he was developed in the 40s, like he's now pretty much
30s.
30s or 40s. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's practically a universal character. Like everyone in the world knows the Superman logo.
Yeah. And I mean, even within the comics, Superman was always really a global hero. Like, he was always saving the world. So, it never really made sense for him to be Truth, Justice, in the American Way when, since I would say at least the 50s, Superman has been more of a global hero saving the entire world and being a good representative for humanity as a whole.
Yeah, and he's not even just saving people on Earth. He does stuff off world all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this man goes to toe to toe with titans from the galaxy like Darkseid and Mongol and Hank Henshaw back when with Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, and at one point he did join the Sinestro Corps, so there is that. But he deals with monsters from all across the universe, and he protects everyone all the same. So I think the slogan "Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow" is just fitting for him.
And it does, and they actually managed to change it to something good, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, and it just works with who Superman is as a character. He's always looking to create a better tomorrow. Like, he's never been like we've said, he's never been just relegated as an America first or an American only superhero. That he is a superhero to all people on Earth and really all people in the universe. Like, he is such a linchpin within not just DC's universe but multiverse. Like, literally there is a metaverse surrounding Superman. His existence warps the fabric of reality of DC. He is not just America. He is as much of a mascot for DC as Batman is. While Batman may be the mascot in name, being Detective Comics, Superman is the mascot for DC in universe and out of universe, and it makes much more sense to make him representative of that with his slogan.
Yeah, and overall, I am so happy that people got their fill of the bisexual Superman controversy, that they didn't even tackle this. Like, I haven't even seen any backlash from this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful because I feel like this would have been maybe a bigger culture war issue to go after.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, if it wasn't bisexual Superman, the idea, conservatives running with the idea that they're taking the America out of Superman, oh,
Oh,
they could run with that.
oh, thank God they were distracted with bisexual
Yeah,
Superman.
I'm
Then,
really glad they were because most, and it's the thing, most comic book fans are fine with this change. It's a change that most comic book fans weren't necessarily clamoring for, but it's not like they were going to oppose because they always felt that it's more thematic that Superman is representative of the whole and not just America.
yeah, I mean, in fact, when they reference the Truth, Justice, and America Way line in the original cut of Justice League, he didn't even mention that last part. He just referenced truth and justice.
Yeah. And I mean, even Superman, when he was first created, Superman was created to be a global hero. I mean, Superman was made by Jewish authors who were facing a lot of anti Semitism as he was created he was created less than a decade before the outbreak of World War II. And so anti Semitism within Europe was on the rise as Nazi Germany was starting to grow in power. And anti Semitism in the United States was also pretty high too. And Superman was meant to be representative of a savior and protector and also enforcer of equality of all. Even from his very beginnings, he's always meant to be representative of being helpful to everyone in the world. And I think this is just better representative of that original vision for him.
Yeah. So, the last thing we got to tackle is the Batman.
Oh, yes. The Batman 2022. this movie looks amazing.
But they cast the Twilight guy.
Shut up, he's amazing. Shut up. Robert Pattinson is amazing, and Twilight was wasted on him.
But jokes aside, I do think Robert Pattinson will do good.
Yes.
Overall, honestly, my favorite performance of his was in The Lighthouse in 2019.
Oh, same. He was so good in that.
Yeah. And the fact that he acknowledges that Twilight has ruined his career is beyond funny.
He was also really good in Tenet with John Washington.
I haven't had a chance to watch Tenet yet.
Tenet is a great movie, and he's a fantastic. He's a fantastic co-star to John Washington.
Honestly, I'm very happy that he's worked his way around his past with Twilight, and is now because I remember him the most from Twilight.
Yeah, everyone does. I mean, he was Edward Cullen.
Yeah,
and he was in that relationship with Kristen Stewart. Was it Kristen or Kristen?
One of the two.
Yeah, he was in that relationship with her, which was pretty high profile back at the time too. But I'm so glad he's really beginning to shed that, because he is a great actor with a lot of range.
Yeah, and the fact that, all things considered, I think Lighthouse is a perfect movie.
It really is.
And the fact that he is attached to that name just makes me very hopeful for the Batman.
Yeah, I mean, already looking at the trailers, he is very good, not just with his the acting of his character, but also his movements with his actions. Like when he's pounding away at that thug in the subway, he is with the motions. Like you can see him putting the proper effort that it goes to show when you're beating someone down. Like, I think he's a perfect fit for a young Batman, because this is only Batman in his second year of being Batman. So I think Robert Pattinson is great.
Yeah. Speaking of movement, that reminds me of when they actually had to change the suit in The Dark Knight because it was difficult to act in, so they just wrote it into the story that he wanted more movement. And so they literally made the costume change a part of the script, and that was pretty funny to think about.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've evolved so much, because I think what's his name? The suit in the way that it's portrayed in both Justice League and
oh, you mean Ben Affleck's Batman?
Yeah, his Batman, the way that he moves in both Batman v Superman and Justice League, it's pretty fluid compared to how it was in Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And especially in the 80s and 90s, because they couldn't even turn their necks.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to this movie. The trailer was amazing. The theme music was amazing. And this plot is looking to be a mashup of some of Batman's greatest hits.
I am looking forward to seeing a darker version of the Riddler.
Yes, I mean, we're getting this is taking aspects from The Long Halloween, Year One, Batman, The Dark Knight, Dark Victory, even aspects of maybe The Killing Joke is going to be in there. This is setting up to be so good. I'm really excited to see the Riddler take on more of a Jigsaw-esque role in terms of how he's going to be killing off the higher-ups of Gotham City, which is going to be really good. What are your predictions for the plot?
I would have to really think about that, because Catwoman was in the movie, right?
Yeah, she's going to be in this movie as well.
Yeah. Doesn't she take a Robin Hood-esque approach to her character?
So from what it's looking like, she most likely will be the not unofficial, it's not the correct term, but the bastard daughter of Carmine Falcone, who's the head of the mafia within Gotham City. So she's basically going to be she takes what she wants because she's used to having to do that growing up in a criminal empire. So she's more she's going to be taking what she wants, but she comes across Batman and becomes infatuated with him, and he with her.
Yeah, because really, this is going to be an inexperienced Batman, which compared to Ben Affleck's Batman is old, and
he's already lost a Robin.
Yeah, and he's just way out of it fighting gods amongst other gods.
Yeah.
So he's out of his league there. Meanwhile, in this one, we'll get to see his not really origins like we saw in Batman Begins, but like him starting to develop as a Batman.
Yeah, and this is also going to be a new, like a fairly new Catwoman as well, because
Yeah.
she's also going to be pretty like new, because this will be her really getting out from under the wing of Carmine Falcone. And I'm really interested because even characters like the Penguin, he's not the Penguin yet. He's still just Oswald Cobblepot, owner of the Iceberg Lounge. So there's that. I'm really excited to see the Riddler. I do like how they did change his name from Edward Nygma to Edward Manashton, because Enigma
Enigma.
is a little too on the nose.
Yeah, I know they did play that up in the earlier Batman movies, but that is a welcome change.
Yes, so I'm really excited. From what it looks like, it's looking like basically it's kind of a mix of the premise of Joker, in the sense where Gotham is a corrupt hotbed, with the higher ups being very corrupt, and the Riddler is basically being the voice for the downtrodden and taking down the elites. Because we see he kills the mayor. We see the DA strapped with a bomb at the mayor's funeral. When Batman has the whole chalk outline of all of his clues, we do see that the current police chief, not the current police commissioner, which is not Jim Gordon yet. Jim Gordon's only a lieutenant at this point. His name is there, meaning he may have already been killed. And so I think the plot is going to go like this, where Batman is going to uncover that his family was involved in some way with helping perpetrate the crime that is going on in Gotham, and that he himself is an unwitting pawn of it all. Because I really think that the biggest storyline they're going to pull from is Court of the Owls. Which, for those of you who don't know, Court of the Owls is a storyline where it's basically revealed that there's this cult that has been running Gotham in the shadows for decades, and they have this enforcer named Talon, who has been enforcing their will and ensuring Gotham goes a certain way. I think the twist of this story is that Batman is the Talon for the Court of the Owls. He's just an unwitting Talon. All of the crimes and criminals he's been going after are downtrodden thugs, but he's not really hitting at the heart. He's not getting at Carmine Falcone, who's the head of the mafia. He's not getting like Oswald Cobblepot, who is slowly building his name in the underworld. Like, he's not tackling the corrupt politicians and police commissioner. And I think this is where he's really going to go, where he's Batman, the vigilante, where he is going to fix his vengeance on the bigger issue of crime in Gotham and not just your individual criminals.
Right.
I think that's where they're going to go with it,
But
because I can only see that this Batman is a Batman that will develop as he moves forward, and I think this is a good jumping off point for him.
yeah, do you think they'll make more movies with Robert Pattinson's Batman?
I think so. They've really been marketing Robert Pattinson Batman as the new Batman, the one taking the reins from Ben Affleck.
Which would be interesting.
I think they're really showing him as the one taking the reins, and I think it works perfectly. Because we do need a young Batman, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think
fair.
a lot of Batmans we've been getting have been
Like in their mid or late 30s, late 30s, early 40s. I mean, even Ben Affleck is probably in his late 50s at this point.
yeah, I think we need a young Batman because everyone knows Batman the Dark Knight, allied to good, enemy of you type thing. But I don't think people have really gotten to see a Batman that is becoming the Dark Knight. Like a Batman that's like learning the ropes, starting his relationship with Jim Gordon, and how they both will rise up to become who they are, and also Batman's villains rising up. Because Carmine Falcone is a good jumping off point because he's kind of a relic of Gotham of old.
Yeah.
And like, because this old guard is probably going to get taken out by the Riddler, the new guard of villains, the more destructive ones like Penguin, Two-Face, Joker, Scarecrow, Hugo Strange, Mr. Freeze, Hush. I can go on. All of them, they're Poison Ivy, they're all going to rise up. And it's really going to show the true depths of what went wrong. And this will make Batman's crusade even more personal, as he's not just avenging his parents from the crime that killed them, but living up to the ideals they instilled in him about what Gotham should be, where they failed.
Right. This movie has the very difficult task of differentiating itself from the Dark Knight trilogy, because that one is like the epitome of superhero movies at this point.
Yeah,
well, before Infinity War.
Yeah, I think it's going to surpass it because they've really distinguished this one. Like this Batman, his Batcave is in the subways. He doesn't have his own Batcave with a waterfall and everything that's all hidden away under Wayne Manor. No, he has dirt on him, he has mud. His Batmobile is a souped up muscle car, not some technological tank. Like he's like this Batman is really gonna strike out on his own, in my opinion. You're gonna see him grow with his villains.
Right.
Like we're gonna see his villains become the infamous ones that we know and love from the comics.
Yeah.
Like I think this will succeed.
Because I bring that up because a lot of characters that we see in this movie have shown up all throughout the Dark Knight trilogy. But I have a feeling that this movie will be good, despite my hesitancy with the DCE that I brought up during the Flash conversation. I do think I'm a little more optimistic for this one.
Yeah, I mean, this one
just because
this one gives me more Joker vibes, and we all know how great Joker was.
Yes,
Joker is probably the best comic book movie.
Yeah, which leads me to think about what they're doing, because that one takes place in a completely separate universe. That one takes place in I think they called it their DC Dark Universe or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, who knows if we'll ever see Joaquin Phoenix as Joker again.
Honestly, I'll be happy if we only have the one movie.
Yeah. But I really, really like this. Or, well, maybe. Maybe. This is DC Dark.
That could be interesting.
Maybe this is already DC Dark.
Which would mean that we've got two universes aligning with each other. Which I guess would lead into Flashpoint creating a mess of the multiverse in DC.
So. Because there's nothing that outright states that this is DC. Well, Andy Serkis is playing a different Alfred, but then again, Terrence Howard, Don Cheadle's a thing. So, and also the guy that played Flash and Batman v Superman and Ezra Miller. So, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if Joaquin Phoenix shows up in, like, Batman 3. I really hope that if they do go the Joker route, they don't put him in an immediate sequel. They put him in either the third or fourth movie. Because Batman has a very rich rogues gallery of characters that could really be done without having to drop into, like, Joker or even Bane. Like, I think we could do Scarecrow. I think we could do Two-Face in his own movie. I think we could do, maybe, we could go straight up Court of the Owls and the next villain is Talon. Maybe we'll do Hush. We can do so many different ways. We can see what it's like for Batman to raise a Robin.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, we could see his first encounters with Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon.
Which we need a more modern interpretation, because we really don't have
a Batman and Robin.
Yeah, out like in the 21st century.
Yeah, we really don't, and I think it's definitely needed.
Because the only hint of that we got was at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, when it was just subtly hinted at, but never really fully
But that's not even...
It was never fully actualized.
Yeah, but that's not even Dick Grayson. That's just an original character.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think if there's a Batman 2, it should end with Dick Grayson becoming Robin. In the sense, not that Dick Grayson is in the movie all the time and he becomes Robin in the end. Like, I mean, like, the end of the movie is him adopting Dick Grayson, and Batman 3 is Batman and Robin.
Or not even Dick Grayson, maybe even Jason Todd.
I feel like we need to do Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson needs to be done justice on the silver screen.
Especially with, was it implied that Jason Todd was the one killed in the DCEU?
Most likely because he's the only one that gets killed.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that is killed by the Joker.
Yeah. So that's why I'm leaning towards Jason Todd.
No, I think we need to do Dick Grayson because Dick Grayson has not been done justice on the silver screen in the 21st century.
That is fair.
He is the first Robin. He's the OG. We need to put him in there. We need to see a good Dick Grayson before we go to Jason Todd. And then Barbara Gordon, and then Tim Drake, and then we'll go Damian Wayne. Eventually. But overall, I think the Batman will probably be the best superhero movie of 2022. I think it will be better than all 4 Marvel movies that come out.
Which, they got a lot of competition.
Yeah. Because, like, its main competition is going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
That's the big 2022 film. I think the Batman is going to be better than all 4 movies and any TV show, including shows like The Boys and Invincible.
Wow.
I think the Batman will be the #1 comic book live action property that comes out next year.
Well, you heard it here first. Let's see if that comes true.
Yeah. I have high hopes for this movie, but I know Robert Pattinson is going to give us a great show.
All right.
But yeah, here we are. We're running up on the 2-hour, 30-minute mark.
These shows just get longer and longer every week. This is my limit.
Yeah.
You're not pushing past 2.5 hours.
Oh, definitely. Definitely not. I mean, this was a big week, though. We got a lot of news. Like, I mean, initially, it was really just going to be DC Fandome and the strikes. But then the Dragon Ball chapter came out this week. And then Pokemon just hit us out of nowhere with their Legends Arceus snuff film. Then we have
the Marvel delays.
The Marvel delays that happened. Then we had Nintendo Switch Online being an absolute clusterfuck. And Sora, but we kind of knew Sora was going to be released this week anyway. Like, Dragon Ball Super and Sora, we kind of knew were going to happen this week, but then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff came up, and I'm glad we hit all of them.
Yeah.
Like, this was, in my opinion, a great episode, and I think we gave DC Fandome a good segment. I think we talked about it for like an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. And there was definitely a lot more that we didn't touch. There's the CW shows that they talked about. They also talked about things like Gotham Knights, which we didn't address.
Yeah, or Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't address, but we did talk about like the big ones that were worth talking about.
And also, we're not really well versed in the rest of the things. I think the only thing we're well versed in that we didn't cover is the Injustice animated movie.
Yeah, which I've heard opinions on that were less than positive.
That's mainly because Injustice, you see it once, you see it twice, you see it a million times, and you start to really, after like the 3rd time, you really start to really just be like, this really doesn't make sense. Like, Superman dipping into fascism so quickly.
Yeah.
Or the fact that, not just Superman dipping into fascism so quickly, the fact that Wonder Woman is already a fascist. Before the events of the movie, she is inexplicably a fascist.
Oh boy, I really don't want to dive into that conversation, especially because, let's be fair here, Injustice does carve a lot of current opinions of the DC universe.
Yeah, unfortunately so, because Superman isn't one bad day away from becoming a tyrannical dictator. Superman is literally the greatest among us. And I also kind of just don't like Batwink so much. Like, Batman is just, I know he's the mascot, I know he's like secondary mascot, but like, come on, people. He's not Jesus. He doesn't need to be the one that's always the good guy and in the right. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the comics do dive into, like, are his actions questionable? But at the same time, he's fighting a fascist.
He's literally fighting, like, literally Hitler, but with superpowers. It's kind of hard to be worse than that.
Yeah, like they're showing him like being a dick to his team and like not looking out for his family. But is that really worse than Superman? Is that worth me turning against him as someone reading the comics?
Yeah, I mean, remember, Superman kills a 10-year-old boy. Or Billy Batson's 15 because it's 5 years. But yeah, he kills a 15-year-old. Like, I don't think Batman has ever come close to being that bad.
Yeah. All in all, if you're going to take anything away from this Injustice rant, don't read what is it, year 3 or 4, where the Greek gods come in and invade the.
I think it's year 3 Greek gods, year 4 Trigon, and the fifth dimensional imps.
Yeah, please don't read year 3. It is literally garbage.
Yeah, I mean, Injustice comics can be summed up as, why didn't X characters show up in the video games? Superman killed them.
Pretty much.
I'm pretty much any character that you can think of, Superman killed him. Where's Martian Manhunter? Superman killed him. Where's Hawkman? Superman killed him. Where's the Green Lantern Corps? Superman killed all of them.
Yeah.
And then Injustice 2 retconned it.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up our episode.
Yep. This was a great episode. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Of course, you can always catch us live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific.
And yeah, I'm Shiny.
I'm Sovereign.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of Worldwide Wednesday podcast.